Let's welcome in Ingrid Katz.
It's me.
Hey, Ingrid, welcome.
Yeah, I have to rename myself. How are you, Amy?
Doing great. How are you? You're looking
Oh,
amazing.
thank you. We both do. We're the same age, you know.
I know, and you know what, like it's been so long, right? Like, probably about 20
We
years.
graduated 97, like 20 years, right?
Yeah,
I
long.
would say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to see what lighting is better.
Yeah.
Put some
Well,
light.
you're looking amazing and it's so
I don't know
great.
if my headphones look weird.
Oh no,
Should
headphones,
I use headphones
you
for
know,
the feedback or like no?
whatever works best for you, because really it's not going to make much of a difference on our side, but if you can hear better with
Okay.
headphones, then definitely wear headphones, I would say.
I was yesterday I did a podcast and they asked me to use them because it cut back on the feedback with the audio. Like there
Yeah.
was like
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
noises.
That's
So I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, that's very true. With especially since we're on a Facebook live feed as well.
Okay.
Um so
Maybe
that'll
I'll just
help
leave
with
it then to help.
reducing, yeah, that'll help with
Yeah.
reducing feedback. But welcome. It's so great to have you on WeConnect.
Thanks, Amy.
And
Yes.
I've had a look at the work that you're doing right now with children and with helping children to I guess you know have a healthier relationship with their eating and food. And what it
Yes.
occurred to me what occurred to me when I was looking at all of your product information about your book and your program, which I want you to share a little bit more about, of course. What occurred to me also was it can also possibly help adults to improve their relationship with food as well. Uh,
100%. 100%. Yes. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
yeah, because a lot.
I couldn't agree more. It's this becomes this habitual thing, right? And we grow up eating certain ways and have certain feelings about food. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and we go to food for like comfort. There's like such a thing as like
Mhm.
comfort food, right?
Oh
And
yeah. Hmm.
what we know to be healthy, uh when we have it, when we drink, healthy juice, when we eat healthy food, then it does make us feel
Hmm.
better, but it's not what we would like
Yes.
want to, when we're feeling bad.
No, I'm not craving those peas when I'm upset or stressed out or or ravenous. Like I want pizza, right?
Yes, or ice cream,
Uh-huh.
chocolate. Yeah, yeah.
Chocolate, yeah.
When you're like
Uh-huh.
PMSing, you're not
100%.
like, oh, let me have at that broccoli and kale and spinach. But it's actually what's
I
going to
know.
help you more.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I know. Um,
But
too
yeah,
funny.
tell
It's
tell us
it well,
tell us more about the your book is called it's called How to um
feeding
uh,
your picky
feeding,
eater.
feeding your picky eater, and your program is 3 steps to change your picky eater's habits, or please
Mhm.
share more.
Yep,
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the 3 most effective steps to target picky eating.
Mhm.
And it started, this whole journey started with me years ago when I had my own children. My oldest is turning 12.
Mhm.
And so I started this food journey as a speech pathologist, but I've got my licensure, and we specialize in feeding, but not so much the nutritional side of it and how it impacts our health and mental health and but just helping children in like the hospital settings with different medical issues and syndromes to rehabilitate and habilitate their feeding. And then as I had my children and I was dealing with all these children with medical problems, I'm kind of going, why are we feeding them and teaching them how to learn to eat all these processed foods when I know it's contributing to other medical issues that they might be having with mental health, sleep, constipation, you name it. I mean, it affects everything. And like, for example, red dye, we know is definitely linked to hyperactivity in children. If you have a child that can't regulate and keep themselves calm and has a hard time with that, want to make sure we address that in their diet. So I really started putting two and two together and becoming more self-educated and taking classes on nutrition so that I could pick the better foods to help my clients and even my own children to get on a better course for long-term health and mental health.
Yeah, yeah. Because it is very interesting that we gravitate towards certain things, to make us feel better. But we are starting to understand the connection between the gut and like our own emotional well-being, that like so
Yeah.
for such a long time, psychiatrists and therapists were all, always focusing on brain activity, but not really making that
Right.
stomach and stomach brain connection, you know. Uh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The
You
gut brain connection is huge. Yeah, absolutely.
It is. Yeah, and I've heard a lot about how people who have gluten intolerance it can affect them in an emotional kind of way,
Hmm.
beyond
Hmm.
also their physical well-being. I mean, it's all connected, right? Um,
Hmm. Oh, yeah. They're
yeah,
even finding now with COVID. I mean, that's obviously the hottest topic, and how COVID affects your brains. One of the first things that the signs and symptoms, right, is it affects your taste and your smell. That's controlled in your brain. So COVID is affecting our brain. It is affecting our feeding. And if you have a child that, had COVID and or yourself as an adult, it's definitely going to affect how you eat and what you're craving. And something else that affects us a lot with our overall health, mental health, and even food cravings we have, what we want to eat when we want to eat is sleep. And that often goes unaddressed too, especially with our little children, and taking a little bit of time to see if their quality of sleep is good. When you don't rest well, that's when your body heals at night, when the brain heals and develops. And so, the best way I explain it to parents too, especially if a child with different medical needs or they're very picky eaters, oftentimes there is a sleep component that their sleep is affected. They're restless when they sleep, maybe they snore, a whole list of things. So think about it being like jet lagged, right? You ever traveled and you're jet lagged? You crave the sugary fat foods to give you a boost of energy, and so it pushes you towards eating unhealthier and being more of a picky eater because you're just trying to get through the day and boost yourself up. And so it's something that's important to think about for all of us too, for our mental health and eating well.
yeah. Interesting that you bring up jet lag actually, because the only time I ever had really like severe jet lag um, was when I went to India in 2015 for yoga teacher training.
Wow.
And Ingrid, just listeners know, Ingrid and I, we went to high school together, right? So the reason why I'm saying this
Yeah.
is that the person who was able to help me to figure out how to break my jet lag issue that I was having with sleep, very,
Hmm.
very quickly, and it like this worked in no time it just worked instantly, was another person we went to high school with, which is Joe Weaver. And
Oh yeah.
he
Yeah, I
told
remember.
me was that if I don't if I eat like have basically my last meal and like last bit of like drink or food um 10 hours before I'm going to wake up the next day and like time it perfectly, or no, it was 12
Hmm.
hours. I think it was like 10 or 12 hours before.
Yeah.
Then I won't feel like I want to, uh, stay up really late and then, be really lethargic the next day. Like
Hmm.
my body will regulate based on what I put
Interesting. It's
into
like
my
that meal
stomach.
hits a reset button there. That's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
Like my
I like it.
digestion was going to affect everything else. So like what I put into my stomach
Hmm.
is going to, affect all the other timing for like, my sleep,
Yeah.
and my mood, all of it. It was
Wow.
very interesting. Like, and it worked. I only had to do that once.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
it reset everything. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
gonna have to keep that in mind once I can travel again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's such an amazing little trick. But I what I'm really kind of interested in is so you originally were a speech pathologist, and um how did being a speech pathologist do that kind of connection to nutrition? Like, did you have an aha moment that like connected speech pathology to all these other things that you realized?
Well, speech therapists, we are trained, we are the primary person, and you're trained to deal with feeding issues with children and adults. And typically that relates to the mechanics of eating, how someone's chewing or bottle feeding, the safety of swallow. So, an example would be an adult maybe had a stroke or Parkinson's, and they're having difficulty chewing and swallowing their food safely. Children, they might have a syndrome like Down syndrome or cleft palate, or maybe they're on the autism spectrum and they are very picky eaters if they have a lot of sensory issues, or children that have reflux even, and you don't have a major medical condition other than reflux, it significantly impacts the feeding. So I found in my career, I gravitated towards that because it's such a quality of life issue. If you have an elderly loved one that's in the hospital and they can't eat, what's the first thing you want to do to help someone and to love someone and nurture them is to feed them. And when you can't do that, it really feels like it's disconnecting you from loving them almost.
Mhm.
And so I loved helping families and children connect that way and to fix that problem for them because it helped just so much more than the surface issue there. And like I said before, it kind of then snowballed when I started having my own family. I really spent more time looking at what I was feeding, not only myself during pregnancy and wanting to eat healthier, but my own children, and understanding and taking the time to understand what these ingredients were on the back of these packaged products that we throw into our kids' lunch boxes. And it really hit home with me wanting to write this book and put this class together online. About 2 years ago, the CDC released a statement saying that for the first time ever in human history, our children are not expected to outlive us adults in terms of age. The longevity of their lifespan is reduced, and it absolutely has to do with what's on the end of their fork, really. And that was echoed by the CDC. And there's no reason for that. We live in a day and age where we can have anything and everything, right? So I wanted to really help parents, especially parents, because I know as a mom, as a working mom, how frustrating it can be to take control back of mealtime, to take control back of our children's long-term health. And it's not as hard as we think or feel it is. And it's a hard issue to deal with. And with all my clients. And it's funny, even if they don't come to me for picky eating issues, they have a speech issue or stuttering, articulation, what have you. I often ask, like, oh, is your kid a picky eater too? And it's always seems to be this common theme, like, oh yes, I think all of us as parents go through it with our children, even if it's for short phases, it's still there. And for a lot of people, I find it just snowballs out of control. And I think a big problem with that too, in my research, you have food companies and fast food companies spending billions with a B, billions and billions of dollars on marketing to us to eat their products. And we as parents, we have to fight that. So, it makes it very challenging. Our children know they want those chicken nuggets that are shaped like a dinosaur, right? They know it's there. It's unbelievable, right? When we were kids, that didn't exist. That product, there was no dinosaur shaped chicken nuggets, right? So we're dealing with a lot more of that on top of it as well as parents. And so all those worlds sort of came together for me and pushed me to just really trying to get the message out there.
Yes.
Because our food has gotten worse and the fight has gotten harder, right?
Yes, yes. Oh, absolutely. And what comes to my mind is like fast food, like Burger King or McDonald's, like those kind of things, like what we grew up with was Happy Meals, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like,
Right.
oh, like kids always wanted Happy Meals. And that was like, in my family, for me, right, it was like the big reward, like, oh,
Mm-hmm. Right.
if
It was a
like
treat. It
it
was
was
a
a
treat.
treat. It was a
Yeah.
special occasion kind of thing. Because, I grew
Mm-hmm.
up with my life, what I grew up with was, um, like no sugar cereal, I mean, what we had in our
Oh
house
yeah, never.
was grape
Never.
nuts and grape nuts, and I think maybe Honey Nut Cheerios, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the extent of it. But
Yeah.
I think like what that did for me was when I left home, I was so into like sugar cereal because I never had it when I was a kid. Like,
Me
was that
too.
you
Same
too?
thing happened.
I feel like everyone in college was like Captain Crunch with like a cup full of sugar in
Yes.
it, so that the spoon
I
fit
am
up.
the poster child for that. I agree. The first college, they say the first freshman 15, right? I mean, I was the poster child for that because I was in the same type of household, no sugary cereals. My mom wouldn't even buy Oreos. We only had homemade chocolate chip cookies with like half the sugar content in it that when she baked. And so I went to college. I lived off of Lucky Charms because I could. And
Yes.
and Oreos and
Yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah, yeah, and you know what,
Yeah,
like eventually it was like I got it out of my system or something, it was like,
hmm
oh, I
I
can't live
know.
like this anymore, like this is pretty gross. But
Yeah,
yeah, but
it's. I would agree.
yeah, it's just sort of, I guess, like, um I mean, I don't want to get too off track, but what I did want, what I am very curious about is, like, are there ways to kind of, I mean, I don't want people, I want people to buy your book and take your class, right? But can you give us
Absolutely.
like a couple of like little tips or ideas of how you can reverse those kinds of things? Um,
Sure. I mean, there's a lot that we do have control over, and a lot of myths. And I will say again, it's just sticking the course and staying the course, and it's not as hard as we often might feel it could be. First of all, you don't need as a parent to chisel out a half hour every day to work on feeding therapy. It's the teachable moments. It's 5 or 10 minutes at dinner time, 5 or 10 minutes at snack time, 5 or 10 minutes at breakfast. You get these teachable moments, right? And use the meal times and snack times to work on it. If your child is a child that has to be plugged in during a meal on an iPad watching TV, that's like my first suggestion. Before we even start working on a food, we need to just be able to have them sit at a table for 5 minutes ish without having to look at something, and they could just sit there and eat and be comfortable. Um, it's kind of, think of it this way, like if you go to math class and I'm watching a show, math class, how am I going to learn about math, right? So how are they learning about what foods they like? How are they seeing it and understanding what it is they're eating and truly comprehending that? So that's like tip number one. The second issue parents can fix right away too, and especially if you have an older child, just pick one food you want to start practicing with and learning about, and they can help be part of that decision. Maybe it's a food your child used to eat and no longer does, or maybe it's just a completely new food that they seem a little intrigued with. And but pick one food. Don't try to keep cycling through the foods. The third tip, which helps a lot with kids who tantrum and fight, is to let them know as many times as needed that they're not going to be eating this food right now, this new food. It's learning about it. If they can't handle it being on the same plate, fine, put it on a plate next to them and say, this is our learning plate. So you want your child to be able to see the food, to tolerate it. If they can't even look at the food, how on earth are they going to eat it, right? So we want them to be able to just look at
Yeah,
it and have no reaction, right?
reduce the
You have to start
anxiety.
desensitizing.
Reduce
Yeah,
the
we have to
anxiety
desensitize.
around it. Mm, I love that
Yeah.
because you know what? My daughter is so like I have a 4-year-old daughter and she's so
Hmm.
curious, right? Like that's her thing
Hmm.
is curiosity. Like if
Okay.
you show her
Yeah.
anything that is new, she's like she has a genuine curiosity about stuff, especially things that that she probably shouldn't be messing with, right? Like most kids, like
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's
like, oh,
normal.
don't stick your finger in the outlet. And my daughter's like,
Mhm.
what would happen if I do that? Let's see
I know.
this.
Yeah.
um, I, but one thing I wanted to ask you, about, like, um, certain kind of little games or tricks and things, if they're a good idea or a bad idea, right? Uh, because my daughter, uh, she loves raw carrots, raw broccoli, and raw
Mhm.
kale. Now, the reason for that is because she has an affinity for Peter Rabbit, and she has seen people
Oh, okay.
eating
Yeah,
all
she
these raw
associates it, yeah.
vegetables.
Mhm.
And so she likes to think of she pretends to be these little, cute little animals and
Right.
stuff. And so it's
Mhm.
a fun thing for her. So is that something to encourage more of or to be like, no?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
it's true. So, like I was, kind of getting back to that point where we have all these companies marketing to our children. We, as a mom wearing all these different hats of what we have to do, we also have to be a marketing agent to our children with the food. And it's not as complicated. Don't overthink that thought process. But we do need to sell the food to our children, and it's fun when they're younger children. Let them play with it. So let's say you're working on carrot sticks, if that's your target food, right, and you're gonna stick with that. Just, you want them to be able to look at it and touch it, not be stressed about eating it, and they could just be interacting with the food without getting upset. Pretend it's a rocket ship, right? I had a child was extremely adverse to his new target food, loved playing with trucks. So we just put pieces of the food in the dump truck. And then he would have to take a piece out one at a time. We incorporated his favorite toy just to help sort of bridge the gap. Kids go through phases at different points through childhood called pre-operational thinking, where everything is based upon how it's presented to them and how it looks, everything. And that's exactly how they make their choice. It's not by taste or texture per se, but it's 100% visual. So your daughter having that visual association and Peter Rabbit's eating those things. And I did something similar in my son to get him just to try fish when he was younger, he was obsessed with Spider-Man and superheroes. And I'm kind of going, well, how do you think he's so strong? What do you think he eats? Right. And I just sort of had a 2-minute conversation. And I made that connection for him. Like, he's eating fish and chicken and his veggies. And I just spent a couple minutes like talking about what someone healthy like that would eat. And for him, it was instantaneous. It was easy. Other kids, it takes time to sort of go through that and talk about it. If it's an older kid, it can be more educational and just understanding why you might want to eat something like a carrot, that it has X, Y, and Z vitamin. It helps your vision. So, and springtime is coming. And I love some of the research I was reading last year. They're finding that kids who spend time just growing their own fruit or vegetable are 5 times more likely to try it and eat it than if they don't. And we live in a world we're very disconnected with where our food comes from. And case in point, it does work. My daughter is a picky eater. It's something I work on almost daily with her. She was refusing to try cucumbers. And so last year, actually, just in a pot on my front stoop, we grew cucumbers. And it took 3 months, 90 days, start to finish. But she was so involved and she was so excited watering it, looking at, seeing it grow. By the time we picked it to eat it, she couldn't wait to try it. Is it her favorite vegetable? No. But she tried it and it took that wall down for her. So she eats it sometimes. And that's great. That's all we want, right? So
Yeah,
something to think about now that we're in spring.
exactly. Oh, 100%. I did that kind of thing with my daughter, with, growing, like showing her, okay, we're gonna, put the soil in the pot, and then here's the seed. We're gonna put the seed in the soil,
Yeah.
like, water the seed, and then, every day we can see, like something growing, things coming up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's, I mean, I think that as adults, like, we can be kind of impatient, right? But the thing is, we know what we see in everything in everyday life is that the things that are worth, that really make an impact in our lives take time, and
Yes.
that you
Yes.
have to have patience, and you have to be persistent in order for really
Hmm.
healthy changes to take place. Like,
Absolutely.
nothing that is healthy, that is long term, that that really works effectively, happens instantly.
Hmm.
And
No. And I will say, with feeding, it can be extremely difficult. And I see it all the time with my clients, especially if there's medical conditions underlying contributing to picky eating. And you know, an average person, when they're learning to like a new food, especially in childhood, could take anywhere from 10 to 20 times of tasting a food before their brain registers saying, oh, I like it and I can eat this again sometime. When you have a picky eater and they don't even try to taste the food, when I work in therapy and we just practice when we're at that tasting point, it could take over 100 trials. Some research, the one research study said 88 times plus was the average to just tasting a food before a child will be ready to accept to try to take a bite and eat it. So that's a lot. You have, like you were just saying, it's the long term, it's the patience to get that many of trials in, to practice and taste the food. So yeah,
yeah,
not necessarily instant gratification here.
yeah, what's really interesting, and I don't know, have you maybe you might have seen this in the work that you've done, uh you know is uh do you ever see children who start out really like eating everything, being totally fine with eating whatever you put in front of them, and then they start to develop that picky eating kind of thing? The reason why I ask is because my my daughter, when I started, she started eating like 6 or 7 months, right? Like, just little bits of like,
Mhm.
solid food here and there. And then when she got closer to a year, she was totally into like she would eat Brussels sprouts. She would eat like, anything I
Mm.
cooked and gave her, she would just gobble it up and love it. And then I'm not exactly sure what happened, but one of the things that happened was she started to have mealtime with this other with a friend's daughter, and she was more of a
Mhm.
picky eater. So I almost kind of
Mhm.
wonder if she developed the picky eating from having mealtime with the daughter who wouldn't eat
Yeah.
what would be put on her plate. Like she would really fight it.
Kids definitely learn from kids for sure. I call it the lunchroom envy syndrome. And I even see it with my own kids. They learn about certain food options and products, not because I'm buying it, but because, oh, so and so had it packed. And like, I want goldfish. I'm like, how do you even know what goldfish are? Like, I've never bought it, right? Where did this come from? So you have, and then from ages 2 to 4 starts that pre-operational thinking phase where it's extremely visual for them to make food choices. So what looks better, right? So I think a few things come into play with that. And again, kids also want to have control and take control. And food is one of the few things they learn very fast that they can control, right? And that can push our buttons and drive us nuts and gets a reaction out of us. So it could be a lot of things that sort of contribute. And because feeding involves all your senses, it becomes such an ingrained thing long term if it just keeps snowballing and snowballing.
Mm,
So yeah, what looks better, right? A Brussels sprout or, the Oreos or goldfish or granola bar, right?
right,
That
right.
it's a tough fight. It is, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, and,
it's okay. And it's okay.
I think that a lot of times, as parents, like, I mean, especially myself, we're like, okay, well, we want our kids to eat, and, and we have to kind of pick our battles, right? Pick our battles.
Mhm.
But at
Right.
the same time, what you're talking about, it's very, very true that the children's health is on the line, like, and
Yeah.
how they grow up and develop and all of that. We can't just say, well, all right, all they want to eat is this kind of food. Um, then
Yeah.
if you want them to eat, right? Then just give them whatever, whatever they want. And
I
that
know.
can't really work, right? Yeah.
I think when you have two working parents and it's the end of the day and you just want to sit down and have a nice dinner and like you said, pick your battles. It's very easy to want to give in and just give them the pizza again or the chicken nugget again and not have the fight, right? Just want to relax at the end of the day, enjoy your time being together for the 5 or 10 minutes you haven't seen each other all day, right? You don't want to spend that arguing, fighting, dealing with the tantrum.
Mm,
So so that's where this, I think, my information with the book and the class
yeah.
really just helps you just streamline it, prioritize how to make your goals, take the fight out of it, so it's not stressful to work on, do it in manageable times during your day. um, and as a parent it just feels good feeling like, okay, you're doing something about it, right? And as a working mom too, I do buy products, so I have a cleaner eating grocery list as a product, as a sheet, a handout, on that website link that I gave you.
Yeah.
This is what I buy that has less sugar in it, no dye in it. All those things that I know for long-term health are better options for my kids. And I'm not saying they're amazing, but they're a lot better than what the other typical choices are. So I help to vet that out a little bit. And I also, what parents love, and another sheet and something I discuss in the book in class, are health hacks for us and kids. Things you could do today that immediately will help your children be healthier without changing their diet, because we know that'll take a little time. So one quick tip I can give you guys is Epsom salt baths, right? So Epsom salt has magnesium in it. Our body absolutely needs magnesium to be healthy. All of our cells need magnesium. So Epsom salt, you put a cup or two in the bath water, let your kids sit in it for 20 minutes. I even do it for myself. It's more so in the winter time, and they absorb the magnesium through their skin. So voila, you don't even have to change their diet sometimes just to take a healthier step in the right direction. And
That's
there's a lot that Epsom salt does for us health wise.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, my daughter loves, baths, and I'll put some Epsom salt with some lavender, to make her a little bit more
Yeah.
sleepy in the evening. Yeah.
Yep.
One thing I wanted to ask, which I think maybe some other listeners might want to know, is do you do consultations? Like, are you ever
Yes.
able to like meet with a parent and go over what
Mm-hmm.
the child is eating, or what they're eating at their meal times and stuff, to say like, hey,
Absolutely.
okay, you're having this thing, like, can you substitute that for this kind of thing? Like, do you do that kind of work?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do feeding evaluations and feeding therapy. My office is in Warwick, but obviously with COVID, a lot of it's just gone virtual online, which is great too. And I do take some insurances, which I'm in network with, and that helps families. If sometimes feeding therapy doesn't always get covered, every insurance plan's a little
Mhm.
different. Um, but what I offer too in the link that I gave you for that website, it
Yeah.
has a nice package bundle where you could get 5 sessions with me for like half the price. So I tried to have this really nice promo as a package bundle to
Yeah.
be able
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have access to the videos
I saw
and
that.
schedule with me.
I saw that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was really, I'm definitely going to sign up for, for the package thing and for your book. What I want, what I think is very, very helpful is to, for myself particularly, is to, have those kinds of, uh, uh, person to person kind of meeting,
It
I
helps.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, because we can do a lot of research, but then having that kind of ability to ask questions, because I think that
Right.
also, um parents, they are, a lot of times we're way harder on ourselves than what's,
Yes.
than what is
We
really the
are.
problem,
We are.
like, we're harder on
Yeah. And
ourselves in
it's
some
hard.
areas, and then in other areas we're like, oh, everything's great though, and it's like, no, not really. In the long term, it's not going to work out this way so well.
Just like, tackling any big goal, sometimes it's hard just to get the ball rolling, but once you have it rolling, it just gets easier, and you can handle it on your own. And so I think just getting yourself and your child on that right course is all. Sometimes someone needs a little help needing and understanding why you do it. Like, if you really understand as a parent, like, okay, my kid long-term health is, this diet isn't going to give them, great future health wise and set them up for good habits, deep down we know that. And I say to my families all the time and clients, like, you don't have to know anything about food to still talk to your children about food. I even just showing my kids, junk food bag, and I go, you see this long word here, I don't even know how to say it. Like, that's a chemical. That's really bad for us. Like, that's all you need to do. It took me 10 seconds, My daughter, going food shopping, she loves Cheetos. She asks me all the time for Cheetos, and obviously I'm not buying it. She does eat Cheetos. If we go to a birthday party, have at it. It's like, it is what it is. You know, you can't control everything. So they do eat all the foods that I don't buy, but and it's okay because it's all in moderation, right? Those are treats. But she knows, like, oh, there's a lot of words here. This long word is a chemical. I shouldn't eat too much of it, right? It's not good for me. And that's how I really started the conversation when they were little. I don't have to know anything, you know?
Yeah, yeah. My daughter, she has a dairy intolerance, but
Oh,
she
okay.
got she got Cheetos at someone else's house, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'd never given it to her, but one day we were in the grocery store
Uh-oh.
and she saw it and she's like, ah, I want that, I want that. And
Right.
I'm like, how did you even get access to this? And I found out it
Mm-hmm.
was from like this other friend. Um, and what I tried to
Yeah.
do then was get like the vegan alternatives for those kinds of things, because I had like so many vegan alternatives in our house because she can't have
Yeah.
cheese, right? So
Right.
like, so we
Right.
had like almond milk, vegan
Mm-hmm.
cheese,
Mm-hmm.
like all these vegan
Yeah.
alternatives, but she will not have the vegan alternative Cheeto. Like she
Now
knows.
let me ask you, what is your vegan alternative for that? Because I have a good recommendation.
So I've actually tried a couple of things. I've tried I think they're like called chippies. There's another
Okay.
potato alternative. There is another one that's from uh the uh it's from the outrageous food. I can't remember the name
That's
of
all right.
them, but anyway,
Well, my
I won't eat
recommendation,
any
if
of
you
them.
haven't tried it, I will say this is the only, and everything that's on my grocery list for product swaps for chips like that, granola bars, has been vetted out by picky eaters. And I'm not saying everyone's gonna love it, but it's like overall tried and tested, is the vegan Rob's but Brussels sprout puffs. Do not let the name throw you off. It tastes nothing like a Brussels sprout. It looks absolutely like a Cheetos puff, but white, not that
Yeah.
bright yellow,
I
yellow
think
orange
I'm also
color.
really attracted to the Cheetos tiger. So I almost
Yeah,
wonder
right,
if
right.
I get like
Associate
a
it.
picture of it and like put it on there if I eat it, because
Maybe that'll work. Maybe. I know they do. The packaging, right? Again, getting back to that marketing and packaging is huge. But that's been my only product swap that has worked with picky eaters, is the vegan Rob's Brussels sprout puffs. And I hate the name, I'm not gonna lie, because it's so misleading. And when I eat it, it's nothing like a
Oh,
Brussels
I know,
sprout.
I
It
know,
looks
but
just like a
I'm definitely
Cheeto
gonna
swap.
try that. I'm gonna definitely try that one because yeah, I'm like, it's the only I've tried three different kinds of vegan alternatives to this.
It's
And I'm
hard.
like,
It's hard, yeah. Yeah. So now we love that one, and she it gives her that satisfaction of feeling like she's eating a cheese puff like her friends, but it's definitely a
mm.
lot better.
Have
So,
you
and then
have you noticed in your kids, or like, do you see a definite change in their disposition, based on when they're eating healthier kind of foods, that you can maybe share about?
um so it's interesting. I have three kids, like I was saying. My older son is going to be turning 12 in about 6 weeks or so. And he takes after my husband's side of the family, where their metabolism's not good at all. And my husband's the kind of guy, and a lot of people in his family, they could look at an M&M and gain 3 pounds. Like, they could just put on weight easily. I'm the opposite. I can eat whatever I want. I'm going to look the same. I don't really fluctuate with weight. Never have. It's just, my genes, right? So my older son is very aware of his weight, and he went through a phase where he was just looking a little chunkier, and it was really bothering him. And so that spurred him to be more open talking to me about some of his food choices. And again, it wasn't that he was eating terribly unhealthy, but certain things we just had to tweak for him, and so he's just was mindful of it for his weight, but in a good way. He never felt fat or bad about himself. He just noticed something he wanted to make better. And I think that's a good conversation. I have my middle child, my second son. He's 10 and he's very athletic. He's like me, very lanky, skinny. But it's interesting. He has a sensitive stomach. And eating certain foods like hot dogs and chicken nuggets, it actually bothers him. I think it gives him reflux or something, because he just says my stomach feels upset. He never felt good eating it. So this is kind of interesting to see that was easy. And again, maybe talk about like, well, maybe it's some of those things in the food that you're not used to having. And for you, your body notices it more. You're more sensitive to it. And, so he was always my healthier eater from the get-go, because he just felt better eating less processed foods because of that. My daughter, on the other hand, is complete opposite of them, and she just wants junk food all the time and gives me a run for my money. And so for her, it's interesting because I have those teachable moments over the years explaining to her, oh, let's grow the cucumber. Let's do this together. It's putting that time into it. And then just saying little things like, how you fell off your bike, you have a cut. Okay, well, cucumber has vitamin K in it, right? So that's going to help make your cut heal faster, if you eat that, and just make those connections. As I learned over the years, I didn't know a lot of this, starting out as well. So I try to, in my sheets and my handouts and the bundle with my class and my book, I put a lot of those nuggets of information in there to really give parents just good things to talk about in those teachable moments and have fun with it. And to learn yourself, as I learned for myself. And there's still a lot I don't know, and it's okay, So, every day, she would love to have tacos and mac and cheese and pizza, and we talk about why. But because I think we talk about it, and I really try not to let the situation snowball, I feel like they're just open-minded to talking about things. And if there is something new on her plate that I don't think she's going to love right away, I just say, we're going to practice liking this new food. So there's no stress of like, oh God, I have to eat all this. It's literally, let me just taste it. Let me try a bite. And then that's, I really have tried not to let it become a stressful situation. So everything in moderation. I just think I've set the tone for just being able to talk through a lot of that. And I think that's part of what's missing. Growing up, it was not like that at all. It was, eat this, it's good for you, right? And that's it. End of discussion. So I sort of like took that and just kind of ran with it a little more. So now it's fun. I really try to have fun with my kids with it. And they've become, actually, now that they're older, more adventurous eaters. So I have videos of my kids when we were on vacation, went to this, fancy restaurant, and I said, oh, let's try frog's legs. Like, how crazy is that? And so it became this food challenge. I was like, let's put it on TikTok. Let's make it a thing, right? And so the social media hook, right? Because they're like, oh my God, you're going to use TikTok, Mom. Like, you're so cool, right? And so using that association and that angle, and they see challenges all the time online with stuff, right? So that kind of is, that's how I got them to try some really weird foods this past summer. Actually, frog's legs are delicious. they like them.
I mean, I've never ventured into that that world. I've actually mostly been vegan for most of my adult life.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't, get on anybody's case for one thing or the
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, I've had my periods of time where I've been like, oh, this one way was one uh, um, behavior in eating, it's not working for me and my body right now, like,
Hmm.
and also, I I I'll be honest, I don't, and this might bother some people who I know, like not you, but other people I know. I don't force a vegan diet on my daughter, like, and really that's mostly, honestly, it's for health reasons, because I honestly, I have
Yeah,
seen, I have
absolutely.
seen in my life, um like really adverse health in children that are raised 100% vegan, like I've
Yeah.
seen it so much, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think that too much of the vegan alternative kind of foods, like, or
Hmm.
engineered substitutes that
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
created for vegan health, they have a lot of like processing and chemicals and things like that.
Yeah.
There are essential vitamins and minerals, like for
Hmm.
growth, for like healthy growth of like human beings,
Right.
you know, and like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we didn't get it into our minds, oh, to like eat fish or, or any of these things
Right.
unless
Right.
it was an essential thing for like healthy development,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, but
It's
you have to do what's right for you and your child is
a
essentially what
hundred
it
percent.
comes down to.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah,
feel good
exactly.
about, not
Hmm.
what other people
Yep.
are going to be telling you, you know.
No. No, finding your comfort level and sticking the course. And like I always say to parents too, to help them not fail and set yourself up for failure with your lifestyle choices and helping your child. A food you do want to pick, don't let it be something you have to cook. Like don't start with like grilled chicken, right? Um, just pick something you can have offhand. Maybe it's grapes, right? You can keep grapes offhand for a week before they go bad, or banana, or pepper sticks, or carrot sticks, right? You don't have to cook everything every day, right? And have it be um, so hard. It's just something that's easy on the sideline that you can grab and work with, and whatever is, like you said, your comfort level for your family, and that would make your life easier. That's
Yeah,
always my first question. Like,
yeah,
what's a
yeah,
food we could start with that's going to make your life easier, mom? Right?
definitely.
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Easier is always like 100%,
yeah.
something that, yeah, that you can work with,
Hmm.
and and I mean, I thank you so much, Ingrid. Really, I mean,
Oh, thank you. I
this
appreciate it. Yeah.
this this conversation, the knowledge that you've shared is just been it's been so valuable. And one thing I want to ask you, do you have you been on Clubhouse? It's a new app that's out right
So
now.
I've heard about Clubhouse. No, it's so funny. Really took COVID to start becoming more tech savvy, and so I'm getting there. But I would still rate myself with a C here, with using different apps and stuff and technology. But I'm getting there. So, but I have recently heard of Clubhouse, so I got to dive into that and
Do you
maybe
do you
add
have
that on my to-do
do you
list.
have do you have an iPhone?
I do. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have an iPhone, then you are able to use Clubhouse and I can invite you to it. The only reason
Okay.
why I'm asking
Oh yeah.
you that is because, Ingrid, you know what? Like, and we can talk about this more later. I feel like
Okay.
like it would be so great to have a clubhouse room like talk with you, because there are so many parents who use, Clubhouse, and they talk about their kids
Gotcha.
and everything,
Yeah.
and all that, and it would be just so great to have like a talk with you, and be able to have like, parents ask like any kind of questions, and then that will help them to encourage them to, reach
Yeah.
to connect with you more, you know um
Right. Makes
Clubhouse is
sense.
a
Yeah.
great
Absolutely.
platform for, for some of the work that you're doing. Even though I know,
Gotcha.
listen, I'm not as like tech, yeah, pandemic, I started to become more and more tech savvy too. I will tell you the
Hmm.
truth. Social media is not something that I'm really like, oh yay, I love it, but but
Yeah.
it's how people choose to connect right now. And so I
Exactly. Yeah.
so so I'm like, okay, I don't believe in fighting things that people are doing. I believe in like, you
Hmm.
know, being i- being open to understanding something more so that I can
Hmm.
see
Hmm.
how, like
Right.
what
Exactly.
what is it that I don't that's making me feel like not good about this kind of thing, and is there a way that
Yeah.
we can move beyond this and, understand the people who are into it? Yeah, because like TikTok,
Hmm.
I'm like, how do they use this thing? Like how,
I
oh
know.
my gosh,
It's,
like it's so they make all these cool videos. I'm like,
I know.
I don't know how to use this.
I I stopped using TikTok. I did delete the app, but I did use it for a little while as a tool, like I said, just with my own kids. But it's something I talk about with families to use technology to help them.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something I try to incorporate with all my clients, especially with working on picky eating. So, case in point, embracing technology, we can use it as a tool. And I had to shift that mindset when COVID hit to do things more online virtual, especially with finishing my book and the class and putting it all together. I have to use the internet and everything at my fingertips to make it work, and to help the most amount of people and
Yeah.
reach a lot more people. And I use technology as a tool with my family. So one thing that a parent can do, to target picky eating with technology, if your child's having a great day and they're doing whatever it is you're working on with the food, if they ate it, try to bite, if they touched it and they smiled, anything good about it, video it. Those 5 or 10 or 20 seconds is awesome, because let's say maybe tomorrow comes, you're going to be too busy, you're running errands, you can't work on your feeding goals, or they're having a bad day and they're refusing to do it. Having your child watch a video themselves doing exactly what it is you want them to do activates the mirror neurons in their brain, and it starts registering in their head like, oh gosh, I do that, I can do that, I want to do that, right? Because they're seeing themselves do it. And so use it as a tool. And if you're having a hard time capturing those moments, you can show them other kids. There's so much content online. Use other kids eating the same food you're working on. Let the child learn from another child, let them see them do it, because it does help in the long run. Absolutely. Yeah.
That is
So
such a brilliant idea. Yes, yes, yes. My
yeah.
daughter, she loves social media, like the
Hmm.
video filters. She loves the video.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. And
I
maybe
just
they
wanted,
make a video if they're that good. Let her like take a video of her, like, oh, we're gonna video you eating this new food. And then you could put all your filters around it, and then you could watch it and edit it and watch it again and re-edit it. Like, let them have fun with it and use it. so, so
yeah,
yeah.
yes. I mean, we're in this crazy age where it's like, yeah, like all this technology and everything.
Mhm.
But, I mean, that's what is. And, if you fight it and say like, oh,
Mhm.
no, 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 I want to still be in the age where we're like
Yeah.
making our own Play-Doh and granola, which I do. I make my own Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
buy
I
all
know.
that Play-Doh, man? I could just make it
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, yeah. But
Mhm.
embrace
Yeah.
like these little, yeah. I mean, I can totally do like a kitty cat filter and try to get
Yep.
my daughter to eat cooked vegetables because she only wants
Exactly.
the raw. It's so funny. I mean, I don't know if I mean, I guess it's a good thing that she'll eat some kind of vegetables, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So no, it's so funny, So yeah, you gotta work with it, and it can be a good thing and a fun thing, and it has helped a lot of my clients, and so yeah. I guess
Yeah.
that's my final
Oh,
thought there with
well, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Ingrid. This has been a wonderful conversation, and we will be in touch
absolutely.
soon about possibly, like Clubhouse talk.
Yeah,
That
you
would be
got it.
really, really great.
Clubhouse.
And
Thanks,
have a great
Amy.
rest of your day. Thank you again.
You too. Great to sync up. Bye bye.
Bye bye.